In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this thanks card. Now this card demonstrates a couple different ways of creating a sponged background, as well as how you can use the positive and negative pieces of your die cut images and then create a raised panel with them. So I have here a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I've secured it to my grid paper using some temporary removable adhesive. And I have some Pool Party Bermuda Bay and Crushed Curry Classic ink and a couple wedges of stamping sponge. I'm going to start with some Pool Party ink, and I'm going to take this wedge of stamping sponge. I'm going to pounce it on the Pool Party ink pad, and then I'm going to start sponging, going downwards on a bit of an angle like so. And I'm starting off the cardstock and then kind of working onto the cardstock in a circular manner. Now I'm not too concerned about getting a nice smooth blend of color here. If I wanted it perfectly smooth, I'd use a brayering technique instead. So now I'm going to set aside the Pool Party for a moment, and I'm going to take some crushed curry. And I'm going to pounce my sponge into the crushed curry, and then I'm going to start blending a little bit of this kind of towards the center area, a little bit down like so, not in the ends here. And I'm going to come back with my Pool Party, and I'm going to blend some more Pool Party on top of my crushed curry. And I'm going to bring in tiny little bit of Bermuda Bay. And I'm not pressing very heavily here. And I'm going to bring in a little bit more. Okay, I did not mean to bring in quite that much crushed curry, but I guess we're going to work with it. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of building and blending some colors. And I don't want this to appear too much like a yellow. I want it to look more kind of blue-greenish. And then I'm just going to bring it down to the bottom corner so that I have a light layer of color here. Like so. And maybe I'll bring in just a little bit more. There, that's probably good like that. So now I have here a piece of wax paper that I've placed on top of my sponged cardstock piece in the largest of my butterfly Thinlits. Now I've got my butterfly Thinlit on an angle so that the right wing is about 3/8 of an inch down from the top right edge, and the left wing is about 7/8 of an inch down from the top edge. Now to hold this in place, I'm going to use some washi tape. This is just washi tape that I have in my stash, but I want it to be even less tacky than it is. Now washi tape is already a low tack tape, but I want this to be even lower tack. So as you saw, I kind of ran my fingers onto it just to get rid of some of that tack. And then I'm just going to use this to hold my piece in place, and I'm going to take this and run it through the Big Shot. Now when you come out from the Big Shot, you want to make sure that you have all your pieces. Well, you don't need the inner pieces, but you're going to want the top and the bottom piece and the die cut butterfly. So I will be right back. So then I've removed the butterfly. So you can see we now have 3 pieces, the top, the butterfly, and the bottom piece. So we're going to set that aside for a moment. So now I have here another 4 by 5¼ inch piece of Whisper White cardstock. And this time I'm going to be using my Crushed Curry, Melon Mambo, and Pumpkin Pie Classic inks. And I've got a wedge of stamping sponge for each. So I'm going to start with my Melon Mambo. I'm going to pounce my sponge on my ink pad, and then I'm very lightly going to start quickly working in a circular motion on my cardstock here. And then I really want that center to be nice and dark. Then I'm going to take some pumpkin pie. I'm going to pounce my sponge, and then I'm going to sponge around the Melon Mambo. and making sure that I slightly overlap. And then finally, I'm going to take my crushed curry. And now it's kind of hard to go in a circle here. And actually, I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper because you don't want to contaminate the inks. So don't worry too much about it, you know, whether it's perfect or not. It does not have to be. Now I've got a lot of yellow, decent amount of pink, not a lot of orange. So I'm going to come in with my pumpkin pie. And I'm going to bring that outwards a little bit. And then come in with just a little more of my melon mambo. Okay, so there you can see how that now looks. So I'm just going to give that, actually, you know what? No, hold on. I just want to add a little bit more of my crushed curry on the sides just to kind of deepen that up a little bit. Okay, that's probably good like that. So I'm just going to give that a quick shot of heat with my heat tool just to make sure that that ink is completely dry before we move on. So now I have here a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card, which I created out of Whisper White cardstock. And then I have my sponged piece and my butterfly piece. So now I'm going to center and stick, I think I'll do it like this. I'm going to center and stick this piece onto my card front using some of my Fast Fuse adhesive. So I'm just placing a perimeter of adhesive all around my cardstock piece and a little bit in the center. And then I'm going to center this onto my card front. Like so. Then I'm going to position these pieces on top except what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have here a sheet of Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm using my scissors to cut around the border. So I like to use my borders when I'm sticking panels down. It makes it just a little bit faster than sticking down the individual Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm just going to place some dimensionals at the back, and then once I've finished doing that, I'll show you what it looks like. So here you can see I've got both my pieces with my Stampin' Dimensionals. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start removing the backing, and then I'm going to start, well, maybe I'll just peel off the border there. Then I want to align this piece directly over top of my sponged piece below. Like so. Now I'm removing the backing from these pieces. And especially here in the fine areas, you do want to make sure that you have some Stampin' Dimensionals there. There you can see how that looks. And then now for this piece, I'm going to cut some small pieces of dimensional, and I'm going to place them on the back of this, and then I'll be back. So now you can see here I've placed some dimensional foam some Stampin' Dimensionals cut up into tiny little pieces on segments of my butterfly. And now what I want to do is to gently put this back in place as though I were piecing a puzzle back together. So I have here a 3/4 inch wide piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. It's from Another Thank You, and it's that kind of script type sentiment. And I'm going to stamp it so that it's about a 1/2 inch from the from the left hand edge of my banner piece. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim this down to create like a fishtail in the end. So there you can see how that looks. So now if I measure this, it's about 3 inches. Then I'm going to place a couple Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. I'm going to remove the backing. And then I'm going to grab an acrylic graph ruler because I want to put this about a 1/2 inch up from the bottom edge. I'm going to align this with my ruler, making sure it's straight. And then I'm going to take a couple of my rhinestones. Actually, I think I might take this border piece here. And I think I'm going to put a little strip of 5 rhinestones there. So I just need to trim the adhesive a little bit. There we go. So there you can see how that looks, and our card is now finished.